Steel-gray clouds pressed down like a coffin lid over the Afghan mountains. Captain Jake Morrison gripped the radio with white knuckles, his Apache helicopter's engines screaming in protest as enemy fire lit up the canyon walls around them. His co-pilot was unconscious, bleeding from shrapnel that had found its way through their armor. The fuel gauge blinked red. Warning lights painted the cockpit like Christmas in hell. Viper 1, this is Apache lead. Morrison transmitted, his voice steady despite the chaos. We are black on fuel, red on ammo, pilot down. Request immediate extract. Static answered him. Nothing but the whisper of interference and the roar of his dying engines. Then, cutting through the storm like a blade through silk, came a voice. Female, calm, professional. Apache lead, this is Ghost. I have your 6. Follow my lead and keep her steady. Morrison stared at the radio. An unknown call sign. A voice he'd never heard. Ghost, identify yourself. You're not authorized in this airspace. Explanations later. Right now, just focus on staying alive. Bank left 30 degrees, low altitude. Now. 12 hours earlier, coffee had gone cold and forgotten on the table at Bagram Air Base. The operations room was filled with tense silence. Wall-mounted screens displayed red dots and moving targets. Commander Stevens studied the map, calculating alternatives. "Gentlemen," Stevens said, his voice tired but determined. "Intelligence is clear. Our American prisoners are being held in the Coast Valley, in enemy-controlled territory. The problem, the air corridor is completely closed, air defense systems are active, and the weather is absolute hell." Morrison stood up. "Sir, Apache team is ready. No matter how bad the weather conditions, we can get in there." Stevens shook his head. "Jake, this is a suicide mission. Taking a single Apache into that valley. No backup, no support, no escape plan. We have to rescue those men." Stevens remained silent for a long moment. Then he opened the file on the table. "There's one condition for this mission. If things go sideways, if it becomes clear you're not coming back." He paused. "There's support available, but you won't ask who it is. You won't wonder how they got there. If you hear the voice, you'll listen." Morrison frowned. "Sir, what do you mean?" "Jake, some warriors aren't in official records. Some pilots never existed. Sometimes miracles come in uncertain forms. When the Apache helicopter entered the valley that night, the world became hell. Morrison was flying perfectly. 15 years of experience, combat experience in all weather conditions. But this was different. The wind was tossing the helicopter like a toy, rain reducing visibility to nearly zero, enemy fire coming from every direction. He fired his first rockets. The targets were misses. Atmospheric conditions had thrown off all his calculations. Second salvo. Another miss. "Damn it," Morrison muttered. He hadn't missed like this in 15 years. During the third attempt, enemy anti-aircraft weapons engaged. The first missile grazed the Apache's tail. The second damaged the rotor system. Co-pilot Roberts turned his head. "Jake, we're losing control. Systems are failing." As Morrison struggled to balance the helicopter, the third missile shattered the cockpit glass. Roberts collapsed to the floor. "Viper 1, this is Apache lead." Morrison called for emergency assistance over the radio. "Pilot down, system damage critical. Need immediate support. Static silence." Then that voice. "Apache lead, this is Ghost." Morrison looked around. He couldn't see another aircraft through his night vision goggles. Nothing on the radar screen. "Ghost, what's your position?" 2 kilometers high, on your 6. "Jake, listen to me. The men about to fire those missiles are in your left lower quadrant. I'm going to neutralize them. You just keep the helicopter steady." Morrison wondered how she knew his name. But there was no time to ask. The helicopter was shaking, fuel was running low, Roberts was bleeding. Suddenly, explosions began below, very precise surgical strikes. Enemy fire positions were falling silent one by one. "Ghost, how is this possible? I can't even see you." "You don't need to see me. Just fly." As Morrison tried to keep the helicopter stable, the voice began giving him navigation instructions. Every command was perfect. She knew wind changes in advance, predicted enemy movements. Bank left 15 degrees, drop altitude to 200 feet. 3, 2, 1, now. Morrison followed the instructions exactly. Instantly, rockets rained down on his previous position. "Ghost, who are you?" "Just a friend. The prisoner camp is 500 meters ahead. I'll clear the perimeter. You focus on landing." The next 10 minutes were the most precise air operation Morrison had ever witnessed. While the invisible pilot systematically destroyed enemy positions, Morrison executed a perfect landing under impossible conditions. The American prisoners, 6 military personnel, ran and boarded the helicopter, wounded, exhausted, but alive. Apache lead, exfil ready, follow the route. The return journey was like a dream. The invisible pilot guided them through a safe corridor, neutralizing every potential threat in advance. Morrison just flew, never once encountering the enemy. As they approached Bagram, Morrison asked, "Ghost, will we meet at the landing strip?" Silence. "Ghost, do you copy?" Static. After landing, Morrison searched everywhere. No such pilot was registered on base. No aircraft had been deployed that night. In the debriefing room, Commander Stevens waited alone. The recording device was off. "Jake," Stevens said, "you're going to forget everything that happened tonight." "Sir, that woman saved my life. She saved the lives of 6 prisoners. Who is she?" Stevens looked out of the window. "Years ago, we had one of our best pilots, Sarah Ghost Mitchell, test pilot, combat pilot, aerobatics champion. She could fly any aircraft. What happened to her?" "A mission in Syria. Command says stay away from Russian airspace. She says American pilots are prisoners there. I have to rescue them. She violated orders, rescued the pilots, but created a diplomatic incident." Morrison waited. "They discharged her. Not dishonorable, but her military career was over. She disappeared. Nobody knows where she is. And she was there tonight." Stevens shrugged. "I don't know anything, Jake." "Neither do you." Stevens pulled an envelope from the desk. Inside was a small piece of paper. On it was an old military code. Some debts pay themselves. "What does this mean?" "Maybe her military career ended, but her mission didn't. Maybe she's still out there in the shadows protecting her friends." 3 months later, as Morrison returned from another impossible mission, he heard a familiar voice on his radio. "Nice flying, Jake. Keep them safe." This time he tried to see. Advanced radar, thermal imaging, every kind of sensor. Nothing. But after landing, he found a small note in his cockpit. "The sky remembers those who belong to it." Morrison framed this note and hung it in his ready room. Below it, he wrote, "Some ghosts watch over the living." Within 6 months, pilots on base began whispering this story. On impossible missions, on the worst weather nights, on lost pilots, a voice was heard. Female, professional, life-saving. Nobody knew her name. Nobody saw her. But everyone knew she was there. A year later, Morrison was playing with his children at a family BBQ. An unfamiliar woman approached him. In her 30s, short brown hair, calm eyes, military posture, but civilian clothes. "Jake Morrison," the woman said. "Yes. Do I know you?" The woman smiled. "I was just passing through the area. I heard you were a good pilot." Morrison looked at her more closely. Something seemed familiar, especially the voice. "Miss." "Sarah," the woman said. "Sarah Mitchell." Morrison's heart raced. Are you Ghost?" Sarah held her finger to her lips. "Sometimes," she said quietly. "The sky needs all the help it can get." Morrison wanted to thank her. He had thousands of questions to ask, but Sarah shook her head. "Keep flying, Jake. Keep them safe. And remember, some guardians prefer to remain invisible." Sarah walked away through the children. Morrison tried to follow her, but she disappeared into the crowd. That night, Morrison went to his ready room, looked at Ghost's note. He added a new line below. "Sarah Ghost Mitchell, the pilot who never stopped serving." Morrison framed this note and hung it in his ready room. Below it, he wrote, "Some ghosts watch over the living." The story became legend on base. Pilots still talk about that voice. In difficult times, on impossible missions, they say a voice is heard. Sarah Ghost Mitchell doesn't officially exist, but everyone knows she's there in every critical situation. Real heroes sometimes continue to serve invisibly. Have you ever received unexpected help in a situation that seemed impossible in your life? Who appeared to you like a guardian angel in that moment? Share in the comments.